Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock on a Monday. It's time for a 5x5. Now, this is where I take 5 subjects related to magic. I spend 5 minutes talking about each subject. I then move on to the next subject. It's quick, it's snappy, you never know what you're going to get. And today, I'm trying something a little bit different. I'm always experimenting with the 5x5s. And this week, I'm actually going to give beginners in magic, new people that have got into magic, say in the last 6 months, I'm going to give you 5 pieces of controversial advice that I don't think everybody will agree with me about, but I honestly believe from the bottom of my heart, this is advice I wish I had had when I kind of first started in magic. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I have been speaking to so many beginners in magic recently. I've just come back from the session convention and I spoke to a lot of people that were new into magic. It was their first convention. I've spoken to a lot of people on Facebook. I've seen a lot of comments on the channel and a lot of people that are finding magic right now, which is great. Magic's really popular. A lot of new people getting into magic that have never been to a convention before. They've just started buying magic. And, you know, there's a lot of advice for new people. Don't buy too many magic tricks. Do this and do that. And all that is valid, right? But I sat down and I was thinking, what are the 5 pieces of advice that I wish I'd heard? And when I made the list, I realized it's actually quite controversial. And I think a lot of people that have been in magic for a while might not agree with me. I wrote them down here and we're going to go through them. So this week's 5x5 is 5 pieces of advice for new magicians, beginners in magic, that I think could be quite controversial. Okay, so the first piece of advice I'm going to give you is theory is not that important. Theory is not that important. Now, let me give you a caveat on this. Obviously, theory is important over time, right? Over time, it's important. But when you first start, in the first year of being a professional magician, I wouldn't worry too much about theory. I was sitting down and chatting to somebody at the session convention over the weekend, and the guy had been in magic for about 7 or 8 months and had never actually performed to anybody ever. And he sat down and he's like, have you got any advice for me? I've never actually performed to anybody. I really want to start performing. I love magic. I've never been a performer before. I've practiced, but I want to take it to the next level and perform for somebody rather than just practicing in my room. And I sat down with him and I chatted to him and he started going on about all these different theories. He was talking about too perfect theory, and he was like, oh, well, you know what, I shouldn't do that trick because the too perfect theory suggests that this, and oh, I shouldn't do that because this theory suggests this, and oh, right, no, I can't perform yet, and the reason I can't perform yet is because, theoretically, I read somewhere in a book that this theory suggests this, that, and the other, and I'm like, you're bogging yourself down. Magic is meant to be fun. Magic is meant to be enjoyable, and you know when it's the most enjoyable? It's the most enjoyable when you're performing to people. Now, that's fine. If you don't want to perform, that's cool. If you don't want to be a performer, that's not a problem. There's a lot of people like that. There's magical historians. They get their kicks out of reading about the history of magic. That's fine. There's people that get their kicks out of magic by just reading and absorbing, and they don't want to actually perform. That's fine. There's people like Lloyd Barnes who won't really go out and do gigs, and is a creator of magic, and that's fine. There's people who don't even want to perform. That's all cool. But the amount of people that I spoke to, and I've spoken to, and I hear, and I read comments from, that want to go out and perform, and they don't. And the reason is they're bogging themselves down with theory. Forget about all that theoretical crap. Forget about it all. Learn a trick and go and perform it. Don't worry about, oh, I can't perform this trick because from a theoretical point of view, this presentation doesn't make sense, or I can't go and perform this trick because it's too perfect and it's too close to the too perfect theory, or I can't go and perform it. You know what? I love the session convention. And I'm going to be doing later on this week a review of it. But one of the things that I found sometimes about the session convention is it's a little bit too, I can't think of another word, so I'm going to say pretentious. I don't think that's the word I'm looking for. But the problem with the session sometimes is, and it's great that everyone's sitting around sessioning, and that's amazing. But a lot of the lecturers, they don't actually teach tricks. They don't. They talk about other stuff. I was watching Danny Buckler, and he was an awesome lecturer. It was an amazing lecture. Absolutely amazing lecture. It was really great. He didn't do a single trick. Not what I expected. But for a new person getting into magic, they've spent a lot of money to go to the session. A lot of them want to learn tricks, and when they get all of this theory, it makes them question, oh, well, hang on, I can't do this because I need to make sure this is perfect, and this theory suggests this, and this theory suggests that. Look, the first piece of advice I can give you is if you're new into magic, if you want to make a go of this and you want to be in magic for a long time, whether it be as a hobbyist or a semi-pro or a pro or a creator or whatever it may be, if you want to be in magic for the longest time, then learn to enjoy it. You know, and if you want to perform and you can't, sometimes it's not nerves, sometimes it's not being scared, sometimes it's that you need to get out of your own way. That's sometimes what it is. And you don't have to worry too much about theory. That'll happen over time. You know, you've been in this industry for years and you've read every book that there is. That's when you can start thinking about theory, and that's when you can start thinking about theoretical concepts in magic and this, that, and the other. You know, I see so many people that go, oh, I wouldn't go and perform. I see people, new people, posting videos on the internet, in Facebook groups and getting berated. They're new into magic and they get berated, and it's like, well, I wouldn't do this because that joke is inappropriate. I wouldn't do that because that handling is a bit rubbish, and you can do better than that. We're scaring people off. Just go and perform. Just learn a few tricks. That's what I did when I first got into magic. It was amazing. When you get into magic, first of all, it's like a drug. All of this stuff, you realize it's a bit like when Harry Potter first found out about Diagon Alley, right? And the brick wall opened and he walked through and he's like, holy shit. It's a little bit like that with magic. You know, when you first get into magic, it's like, oh my God, there's magic shops, there's magic conventions, this is whole community. And there's millions of tricks I can learn. Give me all the tricks. I want to learn all of them. And you overload yourself with tricks and you overload yourself with theory. Don't do that. Go out and learn some tricks and then go out and perform them. Don't worry about theory. That'll come over time. If you want it to happen, that'll happen. But for now, have fun with it. Magic is meant to be fun, both for you as the student or the performer, and both for the person that you're performing for, the audience or the spectator. It should be fun. You know, there's a lot of people that get into magic and they don't perform. They're not having fun. They're taking it seriously. It's like they're studying a degree in magic, and it's like they take it so seriously. And it's like, you know, somebody did that at the session, you know, that I just came back from. They sat down and they were like, okay, I've seen your videos and I don't think you should do this because of this theory. And also I don't think you should do this. And the guy reeled off about 10 of my live performances from gigs and pointed out why I was wrong from a theoretical point of view. And I said, dude, I respect your opinion, but go back and look at those videos because you'll see that people are having an absolute blast. I couldn't give two shits what some dusty book says from 40 years ago and telling me I shouldn't do this or I shouldn't do that or I shouldn't come down and kneel on my knee because of this reason or that reason. I couldn't care less. I couldn't care less. I'm sick of changing myself to conform to what other people think I should do. I want to do what I want to do. And that's all that's important. Go out and have fun with magic and stop bogging yourself down with theory. Okay, so the second point that I want to give to new magicians or magicians that are relatively new in magic is don't rush to turn professional. Don't rush to turn pro. You know, there's a joke that someone told me probably about 30 or 40 years ago. No, not 40 years ago. Probably 30 years ago. No, 25, 30 years ago. There's a joke that someone told me about a guy that got into magic. And he had a magic set bought for him for Christmas or whatever. And he decided to start going to a magic club. And he went to his first magic club and he went to the first lesson and he came back home and his wife said, how was magic club? And he went, oh, it was amazing. I learned how to turn two cards over as one. It's called a double lift. And he showed her and she was like, oh, that's really cool. So then the next week he went to Magic Club again and he came back and his wife said, how was it this week? And he went, oh, it was amazing. I learned how to make a coin disappear by holding it in my other hand secretly. Oh, it's really good. And he showed it to her and she went, yeah, that's really cool. And then the third week he came back and she went, how was Magic Club? And he went, oh, I couldn't go this week. I had a gig. And you know what? This is the thing. When new people come into magic, they realize very early on you can make money from magic. And so what they do, they make it their goal to go out and do gigs as soon as possible. And you know what? It's going to be hypocritical me saying this because I've spent the last year turning Matt into a gigging magician. But you need to understand and you need to remember that Matt has been a performer for the last 20, 30 years. And he's performed on stages. He's performed in musical theatre. He's performed in theatres all over the world. He's stood on stages way bigger than any magic act would, doing, as part of metal bands and so on and so forth. So he's a bit of a different case. But generally, as a rule, when people come into magic, they immediately kind of go, oh, I can make money from this. And they realize that you have to spend money to buy new tricks. And it's like, oh, I can offset that by doing gigs. And I've spoke to so many people about, oh, you know what, I've been in magic for 3 months, and in the next 3 months I want to turn pro. And if that's something you want to do, that's fine. I've got a lot of advice on this channel. I've got a lot of advice on the Net Tricks about how to get gigs, how to become a professional magician, how to make money from magic. That's all great. That's fantastic. But don't rush to become a professional magician, because I'm telling you right now, when you become a professional magician, everything, and I mean everything, changes overnight. Because the second you become a professional magician, suddenly it's a business. And when it becomes a business, you start to pick the material that you perform based on what's going to work for the audience, and not necessarily what's going to work for you. And I've seen it happen over and over again. There's magicians that go out there and they do the same shit every single week. They do an ambitious card, they do fiber optics, they do extreme burn, they do double cross, they do omnideck. They all do exactly the same stuff because they know that's going to get good reactions. And because when you're a professional, you need to understand that doing the actual gig is just a small part of being a professional magician. You've got to learn how to get gigs. You've got to learn about admin. You've got to learn about bookkeeping. You've got to learn about accounting. You've got to learn about SEO. You've got to learn about social media. You've got to hustle. And honestly, doing the gig is the fun bit. 99% of your time is spent doing bullshit, which means a lot of professional magicians, they don't learn new tricks. It's the old joke, isn't it? Most professional magicians buy the same old crap. They buy more flash paper, they buy more packs of cards, more Sharpie markers, more replacements for whatever it is that they're doing. They don't necessarily buy new tricks because those new tricks aren't going to make it into their act. While a lot of hobbyists, that's what they do. It's why people like John Bannon is so creative. He doesn't have to worry about going and doing magic to make an income. A lot of amateurs and hobbyists are some of the most creative people in the world because they don't have to compromise on what their view of magic is. They don't have to compromise on it. If you like doing really methodical, drawn out mentalism, which that makes me sound like I don't like it. I do, but what I mean is it's kind of like a procedural thing. That's not going to work in a lot of real world situations. A lot of pros will tell you that have just spent the last Christmas period doing magic. It's loud, it's noisy. You try and do something that's going to take 10 minutes to get to one moment, it ain't going to work. You have to make sacrifices. If you don't like doing ambitious card, the reason so many pros do ambitious card is because it works, it's quick, it's visual, it grabs people's attention. And I've done it. I've made compromises in the past on the type of magic that I've done. I just have, and I try not to. But I do, which is why a lot of the tricks that I perform and a lot of the tricks that I create that you see me release, it's designed to work in the real world because that's where I work. You're not going to probably see me bring a trick out that's going to take 20 minutes to get to one moment. You're just not, because that's not the type of material that will work in the environment in which I perform. Don't rush to becoming a pro. That will always be there, right? And if you want to become a pro, that's great. Set yourself a goal, but put stuff in place first. Learn a whole bunch of magic. Enjoy magic. Enjoy magic as a hobby, because here's the thing. I love magic. I do. If I wasn't making a living out of this, if I wasn't going out performing professionally, if I didn't run an entertainment agency, if I wasn't creating magic, it would still be a hobby. I love magic, and I read about it. I look at it, I watch it, I learn it 24/7. Most pros aren't like that. Most pros are jaded. Well, not most. I'm painting everyone but there are a percentage of people out there that are really, really jaded. They're doing the same crap over and over again. They're not changing anything. And they've pretty much, if they admit it to themselves, they've fallen out of love with magic. That love that they experienced when they first found magic, that's not there anymore. And so what ends up happening is they end up doing the same old crap. So when you first become when you first get into magic, and don't rush to become a pro. Really, don't rush to become a pro. If you want to do that, that's great. Do it over time, but have fun with it. Enjoy the journey. And magic is amazing. It's a fantastic hobby, and never fall out of love with it. Okay, so this is the big one that's going to piss a few people off, I think. There is absolutely nothing wrong with using YouTube as a learning platform. I will say that again. There is absolutely nothing wrong with using YouTube as a learning platform. Now, I know that half of my audience are just going to go, Craig is an idiot. And right, that's your opinion. That's fine. Here's the thing. When I first got into magic, I would go to libraries and take magic books out. YouTube is the biggest library on the planet. It just is. YouTube is where people go to find out about anything. You know, the other day, Matt needed to do something with a speaker. He went on YouTube. The amount of times I go on YouTube, it's a library. You can find out anything on there very, very easily and very, very quickly. And there are millions of tutorials on YouTube designed to show how magic is done for beginners all the way up to professionals. I mean, just look at me. I put 2 full 1-hour lectures on YouTube on Christmas Day and Boxing Day. I just did. Now, you know, that would be the sort of thing that would probably get me kicked out of the magic circle. And if they want to kick me out again, then let them. But my attitude is, YouTube is a great place to learn how to do magic. And I've talked about this before. You know, the problem with magic is we slam the door shut and we don't allow it to open. And we have people jump through hoops in order to let them in on our secrets. And my attitude is the door shouldn't be locked and slammed shut. It should be able to be opened if you want to walk through. Here's the thing. If you are watching a and I'm not talking about TikTok here. I'm not talking about 40-second videos on TikTok. That's not what I'm talking about. But if you're watching a tutorial on YouTube, if you've gone to the trouble of, because YouTube just won't show you magic tutorials unless you've shown some interest in it, right? They don't just magically just show magic tutorials to people. You've got to show some interest in it. So if you've typed in how to do a card trick or whatever, how to do magic, and there's a couple of videos that have come up and you've spent time, 10, 15, 20 minutes watching that video, and then you've watched another video and another video, why the hell shouldn't they be allowed to learn those secrets? Because my attitude is, when you get into magic, or when you first get into magic, you have to invest something. Now, you can either invest time or you can invest money. And to say that everybody has to invest money in order to become a magician is just pathetic. It absolutely is. There's people out there that haven't got any money. We're in a time in the world at the moment where people are struggling for cash. To turn around to them and say, you can't be a professional magician until you've set an account up on Penguin and bought at least $100 worth of stuff is just bollocks. People should be able to get into magic without spending any money. People should be able to get into magic by watching a tutorial on YouTube. They've invested 20 minutes of their time. That's fine. That's fine. It's not like they're secret searchers. They're researching. They're looking into this stuff. I don't see a problem with that at all. And I know that there are people that are professional magicians that got into magic because of YouTube. Magic is better when more people are getting into it. As an industry, it's better. If more people are finding magic, then more people are ultimately going to be buying magic. If more people are buying magic, that means the magic dealers are making more money. It means that there's more creations coming out. Creators are making more money. If there's more interest in magic like that, it means there's going to be more shows on TV. There's going to be more people doing stuff on TV to do with magic. And that's all great, because that's going to mean more people want to book magic, which means more people are inquiring for magicians, right? If nobody's interested in magic and nobody's wanting to come into magic and nobody's wanting to learn magic, then that's when the whole thing falls apart and slowly dies. So we should be encouraging people to use YouTube to find magic. And I know there's going to be some dusty old fart sitting at the other end of their screen right now going, excuse me, I need to ring up Magic Circle. Hello, is that the Magic Circle? Is that Marvin, president of the Magic Circle? Oh, good. I need to complain about Craig Petty because he's there on YouTube and he's telling people that YouTube is a good place to learn magic. He needs to be kicked out the Magic Circle immediately. And he's just admitted to putting a lecture on YouTube on Christmas Day and Boxing Day. He is exposing magic. He really is. Fuck you. You know who I'm talking about. You've already complained to me about the Magic Circle. If the Magic Circle want to kick me out, I don't give a flying fuck. I like being in the Magic Circle. I'm going there tonight to do a hands-on lecture. But if the Magic Circle rang me up and I had a phone call asking me to choose between changing my views or being a part of a magic club, I would say, thanks very much, Magic Circle. Here's an idea. Take your membership, turn it sideways, shove it up your arse. Now, luckily, nobody at the Magic Circle has asked me to do that, despite having people complain about the stuff that I put on YouTube. That's just bullshit. But that's not the Magic Circle. I love the Magic Circle. I absolutely do. I think they're doing an amazing job. And since Marvin has come in and Lee has come in and the council has come in, I think they're doing an incredible job, an absolutely incredible job. And I can see that progress is being made in so many different ways. But there are people, some of them in the Magic Circle, some of them in the Society of American Magicians, some of them not affiliated to any organisation, that are dusty old farts that have antiquated views as to how you should learn magic. And they assume that magic should not be taught on YouTube. There are people that are professional magicians because of Lloyd Barnes' channel. I see people like Henry Ferris, who I saw at the Magic Circle, the Session Magic Convention, one of the most innovative youngsters in magic I've ever seen. Somebody who just creates and creates and creates. And he got a start from watching Lloyd Barnes on YouTube and doing that sort of thing. That's how he got interested in gaffing. And now he's creating magic. He's got magic coming out through places like Alakazam. Make that clear. There are people that are creating and releasing magic that got their start by watching magic on YouTube. And the irony is, these same stupid old farts that tell you that magic should not be learnt on YouTube are probably the same hypocritical bastards that are going and buying those tricks when they come out from people who got their start in YouTube. It's fucking insane. Getting wound up. The point I'm trying to make is, if you're new into magic and you find a YouTube channel, it could be Lloyd Barnes, it could be Javier Fuenmayor, it could be Cave and Booth, it could be any one of a million different people. If you want to learn from YouTube, you go right ahead. You go right ahead. Now, this is not a video to say exposure of marketed tricks or exposure of tricks that have been published on YouTube is wrong. Absolutely, that's wrong. This is not to say, not an argument to say that because there's people that put tutorials on YouTube that shouldn't be teaching it because they don't know how to teach. And you need to make that decision. When you're watching YouTube, you need to make that decision. Does this work? Does this look like the sort of thing that I want to learn? Does this make sense? And if it doesn't, you move on to somebody else. Find the right people to learn from on YouTube. But absolutely, 100%, without a shadow of a doubt, you should 100% use YouTube to learn how to do magic and to further your progression with this wonderful art. Okay. Fourth piece of advice for new people coming into magic: don't rush to create magic. Don't rush to create magic. Now, I've talked about this before on the channel, so I'm not going to dwell on this. But when new people come into magic, we look at the creators of magic and we put them on pedestals. Jay Sankey, Greg Wilson, Matthew Wright, all of these wonderful, Sean Farquhar, David Regal, the list goes on and on. I did it when I first got into magic. I was like, oh my God, I want to be like those people. I want to be those people. And we look at them, we put them on pedestals and we kind of say, I want to be creative, because it's cool, isn't it? We treat creators with such reverence in this community. A new trick's come out from this guy. This guy is so amazing. This guy is so unbelievable. This guy creates the best magic in the world. So we want to be like them, right? You don't rush to create magic. By all means, if you are a naturally creative person, hell yeah. Put as many ideas down as you can. Create for yourself first, and then create to market tricks later on. I've met people in the past, and they say to me, I've been in magic for 4 months and I've created this. And I'm like, well, that's actually this person's. Oh, I didn't know. And this is actually this person's, and this is actually this person's, and this got done 10 years ago. I didn't know. Of course you didn't. The reason you didn't know is because you've been in magic 4 months. How could you know? What you need to do is you need to do a few things, first of all. First thing you need to do is expand your knowledge base. Expand your knowledge base and get experience performing. Get experience performing and get experience. Learn new moves, learn new sleights, learn new principles, learn all of these new techniques, because they're going to help you. One of the reasons I like creating magic and I like learning techniques is because every time I learn a technique, that technique I can apply to something else in the future. oh, this technique is great. I think I could do something with that technique. I might not have a use for it now, but I might have a use for it in the future. I collect techniques and principles that hopefully at some point they're going to help me with a problem that I'm facing, right? I spent years not creating magic, but creating for myself. Look at somebody like Chris James. He's spent the last couple of years creating and just putting really cool stuff on YouTube. He'll buy somebody's trick and come up with 5 or 6 different ways of doing it and put that on Instagram or social media or something like that, showing how creative he is. And now he's in a situation where he's got a trick coming out and he's got another trick coming out, but that took a couple of years. That didn't happen overnight. The more that you learn, the better you will be. And also, the more you perform, the better you will be. Because I'm telling you right now, no creation is perfect. And if you go out and work it for 6 months before you actually think about releasing it, it is going to be so much better than when you first create it. I'm telling you right now, honestly, that is a fact. Any trick that I've ever created has got better after I've worked it in the real world, which is why when my tricks come out, they started 2 years before. The process started a couple of years before, and it's took me until this point to get them out because I'm working on them. I'm trying stuff out in the real world so that I can eventually release it, right? So don't rush to create magic. Make creations. Create magic that you share on social media. I've just bought the Nightshade coin set. This is my own way of doing it. I've just bought this. I've just bought that. And if you have ideas for tricks, write them down. But then get experience, get knowledge, and also build up a network of people that you can trust. Network with people at conventions. Network with people online, so that you can tap into their advice. When you've created something, you can show it to people who you can trust, and you can say, hey, what do you think of that? What do you think of that? There's an old saying, isn't there? I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's something along the lines of you are who you surround yourself with, right? So if you surround yourself with other creative people, you're just naturally going to be more creative. And you want to be a creator in magic, that's amazing. I love that, 100%. If you want to be a creator in magic, perfect. But if you want to be a creator in magic, take your time. Don't do it overnight. Build up a following of people. Build up a following, build up a knowledge base. And then when you release your first trick, you can have a following of people that are going to listen to you. If you want an outlet to talk about creativity, set up a YouTube channel. Set up a YouTube channel. Do something else, but don't rush to bring that first trick to market, because you never get a second chance to create a first impression. And that first impression that you create, how's it going to be? Do you know what I mean? So, don't rush to create magic. The final point that I want to point out is don't listen to advice unless that advice makes sense to you. And this is a really important one. Don't listen to advice unless that advice makes sense to you. I'm telling you right now, I have lost count of the amount of times I have seen on Reddit and on Facebook and on the Magic Cafe somebody offering advice and they have no idea what they're talking about. If somebody gives you advice and you think that makes sense and that's a logical thing, then absolutely follow that advice. If you're unsure, fact check it. Go and speak to other people and say, hey, I heard that this is the way to do things. What do you think? Because the amount of times, like I say, I've heard people give advice and it's completely wrong. I saw somebody once on Facebook ask how to get advice on getting more gigs. And the guy that commented gave some advice which is factually completely inaccurate. Just completely and totally inaccurate. What he was saying didn't just not work, but would negatively impact the person's business from a digital marketing point of view. But he was coming in from I know exactly the subject and this is what I would do and blah, 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 blah. And I looked back at his posts, and 3 months before, he put a post in the same Facebook group going, I'm getting no gigs. Can someone help me? Here's the thing. You can make yourself out to look like anybody or anything on social media. You can make yourself to look like the biggest expert in any subject, when in actual fact, you know nothing about what you're talking about. A lot of older magicians, and I consider myself in that list of people, to be honest, older magicians, will tell you that tech magic, magic with mobile phones or cell phones or smartphones or whatever, that's not a valid way to do magic, and it's terrible. These are the same people that would advocate doing magic with a pocket handkerchief. Well, the reason why so many magicians have done magic with pocket handkerchiefs is because 100 years ago, borrowing a fucking pocket handkerchief was a thing, because everybody carried pocket handkerchiefs around with them. But they don't now, but there's certain people that will still do magic with a pocket fucking handkerchief. Whilst these days, everyone's like, you get a percentage of people that go, oh, don't do tech magic. Tech magic's no good. Everyone carries a mobile phone around with them. Everybody carries a mobile phone around with them. You get with the times. Listen to the advice that you want to listen to, and don't listen to people that are bitter and twisted. I spoke about this on a different video once. There's a guy that's trying to get my attention at the moment. He's constantly trying to call me out. And his whole narrative is that the magic community has it in for him, and the community has it in for him, and the whole magic industry is corrupt. And honestly, that's not the case. And my go-to strategy is to just ignore the guy, because I'm namaste as fuck right now, and I don't care. All of the energy he puts into crying about me on the internet, it's just laughable. It's pathetic, really, to be perfectly honest. But there's going to be people that are going to listen to that. People that are going to listen to certain narratives. And all I'm telling you to do is make up your own mind. When you read some advice online, don't necessarily think that because the person who's given you advice sounds like an authority when it comes to that advice, doesn't necessarily mean that they are. That's very important for you to understand. It's really important that you go your own direction and take advice by all means. There's some smart, very knowledgeable people out there. But if the advice doesn't seem right to you, Danny Buckler talked about this on the session. And he said, hey, if you disagree with me, as part of his talk, he said, hey, if you disagree with me, that's fine. That's all well and good. That's great. And if you agree with me, that's great as well. Neither option makes you wrong. You have to find your own path in life. And it's very true. You have to find your own path in life. You have to find your own way through this industry and seek out advice. But make sure that you fact check it, because honestly, there's a lot of people out there that have a habit of talking complete and total bollocks. So there you go. That's another 5x5, guys. 5 controversial pieces of advice that I would give to new people getting into magic and beginners in magic. Now it's over to you. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'd love to know. If you've been in magic for a while, would you disagree with me? Do you think it's controversial? Maybe it's not controversial. Maybe I'm just completely correct. Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget, you want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. Now I'm going to be back again very, very soon with another video, so please make sure that you watch out for that. And if you haven't already done so, join the Netrix, www.thenetrix.com. It's my online streaming platform. There's literally over 500 tricks on there now, hundreds of sleights, and we're adding new content all of the time. We've just added a load of stage performances, which is great. And next week, I'm going to be uploading the best goddamn triumph you've ever seen, and it's self-working, and I'm not kidding. It is a game changer. Check out that if you're on the Netrix next week when that gets uploaded. Thanks very much for joining me. I'll see you again soon. My name's Craig from Magic TV.